G-Day this year. I know last year it seemed maybe touch and go. Are there plans to have a spring football game in Sanford Stadium this year?
We'll see. Everything on that end is kind of building and making those decisions. We're kind of just getting through the portal right now, and then we'll see. But that's actually one of the things that's going to be a part of the future calendar discussions. What do spring games look like? What does the calendar of spring football look like? So there's a lot of discussions around that. So that's going to be an evolving process.
Josh, flag football is now an emerging sport for women. There's 300 teams in Georgia and high schools. Is Georgia considering adding that sport in the future?
You saw our intramural team is out at the Fiesta Bowl.
Yeah.
We're looking for the Weiser Family Foundation donation to endow the program.
My daughter did play high school.
There you go. So it starts right there. I think it's something you got to keep an eye on. Obviously, a lot of athletic departments right now are challenging just to meet the needs of their current number of sports. But I do see that as something that's going to be a lot of growth in that area, a lot of popularity here, especially here in the state of Georgia.
Josh, you talked a little bit during the meeting about how Georgia has navigated revenue share era. Just what do you think of the job you guys as an athletic department have done, I guess for 6 or 7 months now into this rev share world?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, there's a lot of behind-the-scenes mechanics that go into it that have a lot of thanks for the people within our business operations. Derek Hammock, the work he's done, because it's a lot of moving pieces. But I'm proud of the way we've done it. I think we've done it the right way. We haven't taken shortcuts, and I think we're building a model that's sustainable as it can be in this chaotic times. So I'm really proud, and I think we got some exciting news coming here soon. Next week, that we'll announce some new opportunities that are going to help us keep growing in the NIL area.
Has there been any fruit with the SEC going to a 9-game schedule? Has there been any more thought on what the future of some of these non-conference series could look like down the road?
Yeah, I think you're going to see that across all landscape. We play 9+1, and we've got Tech, right? So we've already got 10 baked in. So we got to take a hard look at what are we going to do with those other 2 games, because we're having a lot of discussions with the CFP about metrics they're going to look at about strength of schedule, right? And we need to see that be rewarded if we're going to continue to play this 11th game of the P4. Otherwise, because you got to look at it's all data, right? And you look at the teams that are higher ranked that play maybe 8 conference games or 9, and then only play 3 G5s. So in order for that to keep going, the teams need to be rewarded for stepping out and playing stronger schedules.
Josh, you talk about revenue streams all the time now in athletics, right? Adding new ones. Corporate logos can be corporate patches could be on jerseys now next season. Is that you guys added a logo to football on the field? Will you be doing that to the jerseys as well?
It's something we're going to take a look at. But we're Georgia. We do things a certain way. We take pride, and we love our partnerships with our key partners. So it's got to be the right fit for us. It's got to make sense. We're not just out here chasing dollars just for the sake of chasing dollars. We're going to do it the right way. So very proud of what we were able to do last year, of getting a great company like Delta on the field. I think the partnership there with Ed Bastian and that whole team, that makes so much sense. So we'll look at it.
What are your all's thoughts on Alabama playing Bediako and supporting the waiver, even though the NCAA turned it down? I know, a couple of coaches have criticized it. What do you all think?
Well, I'm not going to criticize anyone directly because we have a systematic issue. For me to pick on one individual, one school, until we get it handled from a systematic process across all, there's so many individual situations that you look at there that are frustrating, not just in men's basketball. If you dig in and look at what's going on in other sports, and you look at tennis and cross country, things that are going on that aren't being resolved, we've got a big picture issue that we need to solve before we start picking on one individual, one institution.
Are you concerned that would set a precedent that a player could go pro essentially and come back?
I think that is a concern for all of us in athletics, that we need to try to maintain as much of the amateur status as we possibly can. So I'll certainly be interested in seeing how this case and other cases play out, because if they go in a certain direction, then you're going to see other schools start pulling players from the G League, and then what does that do to college basketball across the board? So, yeah, I think we're all going to be watching it closely.
I mean, I'm not trying to goad you guys into criticizing a fellow member institution, but like I do remember some discussion of let's try to abide by the rules. Have there been discussions with them about like, hey, you're not? Is there concern about Alabama doing that here? How would you determine?
Well, the NCAA is the one that provides a waiver process. If the NCAA hadn't provided a waiver process, then the issue would have never developed in the first place. So I've been someone for years questioning why they have a waiver process. If you have a rule, you have a rule. You don't create a waiver process for all your rules. But the NCAA has continued to create waiver processes that don't make any sense to me. And so if it were my call, you would eliminate the NCAA waiver process across the board. You create rules, you enforce your rules. But they continue to allow these waiver processes, and then that opens up questions. That's whether it's how many years you get to play, what counts, what doesn't count. So the fewer waivers you allow any procedure for, then I think the better you are in defending your position. But that's a bigger NCAA issue.
Jerry, you were quoted a couple weeks ago talking about that the SEC might have to go its own way in terms of enforcement. One, what would that look like? And two, where do you think it has to get to where that is a point that the SEC actually...
I think we're just about there. We have we seen the CSC move against any institution yet? I don't think so. Have we seen the NCAA take any action on tampering? I don't think so. I think we're getting to a point that the Southeastern Conference is going to have to create its own set of rules, enforce them against our members, and hope that we can set an example that the other Power Four conferences will then follow. But we desperately need rules, and rules that are going to be enforced. Right now we have rules, but they're not being enforced.
Would that include not just member-to-member tampering cases, but when schools outside the SEC allege tampering?
Well, let's stay with that for a moment. Let's assume that we created our own set of rules, and we all agreed as 16 institutions to follow them. If an institution that's in the Power Four outside of the SEC does something flagrant, well then we can call that out, but we've got to have our own set of rules, I think, that we are enforcing to have the credibility to call out those things. And I would hope once we set the standard, then other P4 conferences would notice what we've done and decide that it's time for some order in their own conferences, even though we can't mandate that.
Is there a risk as far as that goes if the other conferences don't follow, if the SEC doesn't?
Yeah, I can't. People keep saying that. What's the risk? I mean, that we're gonna have a great orderly conference where we are all working together, and everyone else is in chaos. Does that really put us in a bad position? I don't know. Maybe it puts us in a better position to have less chaos, because right now we have chaos. And we're still waiting for someone to enforce the House settlement and for someone to enforce the NCAA tampering rules.
Josh, you talked about working on the calendar. Is there specific things that you think might be easy to fix or capable of fixing, or is it still you're just trying to get your hands around?
Yeah, there's definitely some easy components. As we look at the calendar, we look at the playing season. There's been a lot of discussion on week 0. That's one I think that's got a lot of traction. Then there's some roadblocks into there's some variables that are fixed variables, right, that are hard for us as a committee to move. I mean, everybody wants to wave a magic wand and just pretend that, but there's things when you look at the Army-Navy game, when you look at the dates of the CFP, when you look at the dates of when semesters start on campuses, those are beyond the committee's purview. So we have to look within those contracts and say, what can we move? So there's easy ones and then the hard ones, right? You start getting into, okay, we're going to keep the portal in January or we're going to move it to a later date. In every scenario you look at, there's a bunch of consequences from that, intended and unintended, and fleshing all those out and deciding the lesser of two evils is where you wind up when you're making tough calendar decisions. Trust me, I've heard from lots of ADs, heard from lots of coaches. Everybody's got a lot of great ideas, but every idea has consequences, and we're trying to basically put all those together, present them, and say what are the things we're willing to live with, what are the things we want to change, what are the things we can't change, what are the consequences we're willing to deal with from there.
Last question.
How much of your suggestion on SEC meeting its own rules, how much is that just you talking? How much have you socialized that, talked about it with Sankey?
I think several SEC presidents are as concerned as I am, but I'll let them speak for themselves. But we certainly are talking about these issues. I suspect the athletic directors are talking about these issues because we're not in a good place right now. We've got to find some solutions. We had hoped Congress would take the lead and pass the SCORE Act, but so far Congress has not taken the lead and passed anything.
What does it take for you guys to create your own rules? Like, what is the mechanism in the conference?
You know, I think that's when we get to a critical number that's willing to go down that path, and I think that would be something the commissioner would have to consider. And